Hello and welcome to another update video. It's Friday today, so I thought we'll do something different today. Sometimes we can cover member requests. So in our membership, we have a poll system. A lot of people wanted to see an update on Bonk, something or coin I have only occasionally updated for our gold members in our signals or short-term market updates channel. But obviously, a lot of people requested an update because of the strong move to the upside, okay? So it's definitely interesting, but it's obviously there are a lot of things to talk about. So because it's Friday, I thought, look, let's do something different. Let's take a look at Bonk and how it's bonking along the way. First of all, it's obviously a structure, a very young chart. So that generally, we can combine this a little bit with Elliott Wave education. It's a very young chart, so any technical analysis is based on very reduced data, okay? We know that fundamentals in crypto do not matter at all, okay? No fundamentals matter in crypto. Fundamentals only matter when people believe them. And when do people believe them? When the sentiment is bullish, okay? So you'll find in the bull market or in a bullish market, people talk about tokenomics, you know, people will talk about all sorts of stuff, adoption, use case, stuff that has absolutely no impact on the price normally, okay? And it is what it is, right? I know there are different perspectives, but tokenomics are, or other flawed fundamental factors, so-called fundamentals, they are not really fundamentals. Fundamentals is cash flow, yeah, other stuff that, you know, finances, balance sheets, all that kind of stuff. How does a company look like? You know, most tokens don't give users really legal rights, and it's just something to know about in the crypto space in general when we talk about an altcoin, that fundamentals cannot really be used, but they do matter to tell a story, and they matter when the market is bullish because people believe them. But whatever you do, whatever you try to argue, it all comes back to sentiment. Nobody cares about this stuff in a bear market, and we use Elliott Waves to track that sentiment. So because fundamentals don't matter, we have to use technical analysis in crypto. But because the chart history is short on many altcoins, I prefer to focus on altcoins that give us more reliable structures, tradable, clear reward to risk parameters. It's useful to trade, or it can be useful to trade altcoins when reward is high, risk is low. First thing I need to mention here, because the chart history is so short, there is very limited data, and any analysis, whatever method you use, is going to be, yeah, less reliable. Okay, so again, you have to understand that. And also with a chart like that that is currently moving in its first impulse, and it seems to be moving in an impulse, because we've got a nice 5-wave move up here, it is impossible to say where it will end. But we can look at some structures in this video, okay? And we can also adjust the support area. So first of all, understand the risk with a coin that, with any coin that has a very short chart history, because any analysis will be very much based on very limited data. However, we have seen a potential first impulse to the upside. So I've got a wave 1 here, I've got a wave 2, then another wave 3, we have a wave 4 triangle, and it seems like it's going for a very much extended 5th wave. Now, I could be wrong about the location of the 4th wave, yeah, and this might be a series of 1-2-1-2 setups here, and it might escalate further, but we know that in the altcoin sector, 5th waves tend to extend sometimes. So I don't want to mark it as complete. This can easily extend further, okay? What we sometimes use to determine targets is we can take the length of waves 1 through 3, and then we go to the end of the wave 4, which in this case would be a triangle. So funny enough, the 61.8 extension level, as you know if you follow my videos, is one of those key targets. So it shows a reaction at the moment, yeah? It shows a clear reaction. And that's at here 334, whatever. So yeah, there could be some profit taking happening right now. But if we break above today's high, the overnight high, then the next level to watch would be the 78.6 extension level. There is literally no way to say with certainty how long this trend is going to last. What I can tell you is that we should not assume a top is in place, and that's more like a general guidance. We should never assume a top is in place, even if targets are reached, until certain levels are breaking to the downside, certain micro structures are breaking. So that's generally very important, because a lot of people are, for example, shorting into rallies generally, very generally speaking, and they do not wait for the market to present us with a short trade setup. Yeah, a rally into resistance isn't necessarily a setup. Well, we haven't even got resistance. Well, we have here a potential target level. Obviously, it's the first time I make a Bonk video, so didn't communicate that target before, but just be aware that it's a key level to watch. The next one would be at 596730, and above that we've got here 0.0001249635, plus minus a few percent or whatever, depends on the exchange as well. But anyway, these are sort of, this is definitely an area to watch, but extensions are always possible. So I don't say that a top is in place, but be aware that extensions are, first of all, always possible, but we've reached a key target area that would normally be used. Bottom line is there is an interesting potential impulse, and it could potentially get interesting in a wave 2 pullback, wave 2 correction. I would also, so what would I like to see to confirm a top? Well, the microstructure is unclear. So going any more into the microstructure is unclear. It could even be that this is a 1-2 setup when we're only just starting wave 3 or 5, completely escalating here. I would rather use the fib levels and then just use certain support levels to understand if the trend is breaking and it's coming down again. Okay, so we can use a trend line here. I think if that trend line breaks, I mean, that is a good guide to say that wave 2 has started. By the way, support for wave 2 is currently down there at point, 5602. Now it can always go lower, and if it does, then it indicates that this larger trend is going to break. So what we're normally looking for in Elliott Wave is a first 5-wave move to the upside. Yeah, it's done that. If it now comes down, we can watch if it's forming a corrective pullback. And if it's forming a corrective pullback, which it should after 5 waves, but again, we have to say it's very limited chart history, so take it with a pinch of salt. So once it forms 5 waves, we always look for a corrective pullback. And once that pullback shows, we identify and try to understand the structure in more detail and determine support levels. This support box might still move if wave 1 pushes any higher. Now, when is this uptrend over? Well, it could be over at any time. That's literally what it is. But I'm not calling a top until certain levels are breaking. So I want to see a break of the trend line first. Where that is going to be dynamic depending on when the price hits the trend line, but you can add that to your chart. You can use normally the 50% retracement level of the last rally, of that move down, yeah. When we measure the distance, the 50% Fibonacci level is normally the first indication that things are breaking. I wouldn't even want to talk about a substantial top in place until that level breaks, and that's at 0.000018205. That's the 50% level. Above that level, I would watch for higher, but the risk has significantly increased. Yeah, and below that level, I would start to assume that a top is in place, but would need to see further confirmation with a break of the trend line and a break below the red line here at 96597 or something. In this entire move up, the 50% level was never broken, and it is generally a good, it did hold, it's generally a good strategy to use to understand when an impulse breaks, the 50% rule. Yeah, and there is not much more to add. I mean, it's way overheated. We all know that we can't really use overbought in crypto for any clear indication of when things are coming down. Many people say, oh, it's overbought, it's overbought. Didn't help anyone down here. Okay, I always say, I don't care about overbought really. I care sometimes about divergences, and huge divergences have been building since end of October now. But again, you see how long they can still extend, and cryptos can be embedded. The indicator can be embedded in the overbought territory for a while. What is much more, what is generally a good buy signal is oversold on the daily. That can be a buy signal, but also more questionable on the altcoin charts. But yeah, I don't use overbought at all. People will have screamed for a top here, and it's just generally what I say more generally, that overbought shouldn't really be used. Now, my main reason I do this video is for members, obviously, because a lot of you voted for Bonk analysis. And also to make sure that the wider public understands obviously the key levels and the risks, yeah, because a lot of people will be aping in, and I'm not telling you not to do that, you have to do that. I would never do that now. And I'm happy with that because it's just too young of a chart. You know, where it will get interesting is in any wave 2 pullback when we get it. Yeah. By the way, what we can do just to compare it, for example, to Doge, just sort of looking at the history, the structure, okay. The beginning is obviously very, very nebulous, but I believe we actually see it on the linear chart a bit better. So just to show you the structure, obviously also here that was in 2020 where the market also rallied. Here it was like 3,000%, okay? And then we had that first pullback. I remember I made updates back then, and it really rallied in a third wave later. So that's something that can of course happen, yeah. Not saying it will, but you know, that is sort of that kind of wave 2 correction that we then would like to see at some point, which could be quite similar here. I believe just the situation is a bit different because the chart is way younger, but also rallied quite substantially, actually, like 17,000%. But obviously the chart history is way younger, so Doge would have done that in the beginning as well. But just want to show you sort of how that wave 2 then should happen at some point. But again, there is no way to say when a top is in place. So you have to make that call for you what's right for you and your portfolio. If you want to put a bit of lunch money in or not, you know, certainly just be aware that you want to be able to sleep well, and you want to be able to know when to get out, really, if things turn to the downside. Yeah, that's hopefully helpful. Thank you very much. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.